moved to the US in 2018, moved over here for a racing career, and the rest is kind of history. Been here ever since. That's my personality in every walk of life. I told the surgeon, it cannot be in a cast. I got to race in 10 days time. If it falls off, it falls off. Sink or swim, that's one of my favorite sayings, is that you just got to just get in and go. There was no plan B.
So I'm Greg, welcome back to another episode of FanAmp Insider. This time I'm here at St Petersburg for the IndyCar opener with none other than James Roe.
Yep.
James, how are you feeling?
Good, all good here in sunny Florida and ready to get the Indy next season started.
There we go. And last time I saw you, we were in Daytona and it was not sunny.
No, it was
How
cold.
are you feeling now going into this weekend?
Daytona was awesome. You know, obviously an unfortunate incident there at 9 o'clock at night for our bronze, Chris, but that's how it goes in that race.
Pratt and Miller LMP2, another car.
Yeah, for me it was just great to get back and be in the car and go get some laps, and now here we are ready to kick off this season.
Before we get into the here and now, let's go back. I want to start just for those who don't know you, or even those who do know you but don't know as much about you. Who is James Roe as a person and as a driver?
James Roe is Irish, 26 years of age, grew up 20 minutes south of Dublin in a town called Naas in County Kildare. Started racing quite late, 15 years of age. Didn't do any go-karting, which is unconventional to a lot of the guys you'll see around the paddock this weekend or even in Daytona. Just started off, you know, save up the money to purchase my first race car, small family repair shop we ran it out of, and there's one racetrack in the whole island of Ireland, which I think I said to you before, and yeah, we started there and just grassroots.
And then you continued with schooling, you were racing, you were going to go to school for mechanical engineering, Dublin Institute of Technology, but then you decided to come here and keep going. What was that mindset, especially being so young?
Yeah, for me,
and having never lived in America, sorry.
Yeah, it was just like, you know, you get to that point of the road, every driver at some point has you're at a crossroads. It's like, okay, well, do we make this jump and really go after motorsport, or hey, no, do I go and get a degree and a job and get serious in that avenue? And the way I looked at it is like, you got an opportunity to go this way. Let's just go and do it now. So I looked at the two paths. Obviously, in Europe, you got Formula 4 3-2-1, which is usually the conventional route of the ladder system, and then in North America was USF Pro 2000, Indy NXT, IndyCar. The difference being that on the American side, there's prize money for poles, wins, fastest laps, championships, so on and so forth. And in Europe, the reality is if you perform in Formula 4 or Formula 3, you just essentially just get a clap in the back like, hey, you know, job well done, buddy, and you're back to ground zero. So for me, having to raise all the dollars to go racing and put everything together myself, that commercial avenue was really what I had to go after. And then, you know, there's 4 million people in Ireland. There's 44 million Irish Americans here in America, so it was just, the whole thing just skewed me to North America, and yeah, packed up my bags and moved over in 2018. Never stepped foot here prior, vacation or anything along those lines, and yeah, moved over here for a racing career and got it going, and the rest is kind of history. Been here ever since.
You're obviously very young when you're going through that. I mean, I don't even know if I can think about like that concept around the commercial side of it. How do you raise the money but also focus on the racing? What was your guiding light, or who was your person that helped you, or people that were on your bench saying, hey, like, you need to do these things, helped you understand it, and then helped you go out and raise the funds?
Honestly, a lot of it was just reality. You know, it wasn't like there was a certain person that said you got to do X, Y, Z to race. It was just the reality of the matter that we had a scenario where we needed to go and get dollars, and I had, you know, great people around me of business leaders in the areas in Ireland or whatever, and they'd give me advice, and, you know, don't get me wrong, there was people assisting me at times, but it was just always a lot of good people with a lot of honest advice, and just kept clawing at it. And I think that's the biggest thing as well, is it's, you know, someone used an expression before, it's like throwing darts, you know, you're not going to get a bullseye every time, and that mentality from the early age, and it being my only option, there was no plan B. So soon enough, you just, this is our plan, we got to make it work, and you just make it happen.
It seems like you sort of jumped towards the fire and just like, whatever, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, it's sink or swim. That's one of my favorite sayings, is that you just got to just get in and go, and you can ponder so much about different things, or what about this or what about that, and yeah, we've just always taken the mindset, let's just go and figure it out.
There's a very specific mindset we see with drivers of this caliber. Each is nuanced based on their upbringing and the opportunities before them, but all of them are laser focused on using every opportunity to learn and progress, no matter the obstacles or uncertainty on the road ahead. Take James and his sink or swim attitude. He fell in love with racing, and he never let that late start stop him. He wanted to race, so he raised funds for his first car. He saw potential in the US market, so he moved sight unseen at 19 years old. He had an opportunity in the Indy Pro Series, and he converted that into an Indy NXT debut and an eventual full-time Indy NXT contract with Andretti. What was it like for you as someone who is working your way through your driver career to get that call from Andretti saying, "Hey, like, let's go"?
Yeah, it was everything. I'll never forget that. It was from JF Torman, who was the team's president at the time, and he and I had built a great relationship and dialogue, and he called me, "Hey, you got to come and do a test before we can sign anything. We have this test. We did a day in Indy and a day in Barber, and then we'll see if we'll give you the seat." It wasn't even a guarantee. So I did the Barber test. I remember, I think it was 2 days after the Barber test that I sat down with him, and he said, "Yeah, no, look, we're happy to sign you with what we saw and different things." So yeah, signed the deal, and that's really when things, gassed up a lot, because when you're with a team such as Andretti, this team, this name, there's so much history, there's so much passion around, and the brand itself is known globally for that matter. So everything that I had going on to get me in the seat, when you put Andretti alongside it, we just tenfolded.
What does that mean? Like, how did it change things for you?
This is very simple. You go to a partner meeting, you sit down, they say, "Who you drive for?" "I drive for Andretti." Even if you only watched one race in your life, there's a very good likelihood they'll say, "Oh yeah, we've heard of those guys, we know them," or "That's Mario or Michael," or whatever. And that link, it's prestigious and has a lot of credibility. So that's been great. And just over the course of that year, this team's became like family. And still is today, so we love it here.
The Andretti name in the motorsports world can't be understated, both for the family's racing legacy and for the team bearing their name.
Mario Andretti, racing icon.
Launched when Michael Andretti took a majority stake in Team Green in 2002, Andretti Global has since grown to field teams in multiple series. Legends like Tony Kanaan and Dan Weldon have helped them amass over 280 wins, and this includes 4 IndyCar championships, 6 Indy NXT championships, and 1 Formula E Driver World Championship. Say that 3 times fast. Your first season, you ended up on the podium. Now you've had this backing of this iconic team. You've got to, like, what is that for you?
That was cool. I was in India. I forgot about that. That was actually very cool, because Hunter McElroy and I are very, very good friends, and we locked out the front row that day. So he was on pole, I was second. Obviously finished 1-2. I probably should have won the race, looking back on it many times over, with how it panned out and different things. But yeah, just to be, to get your first podium with Andretti in Indianapolis, one of the, greatest racetracks in the world, home of Andretti Global, your best friend on the podium with you, and actually that night there was an event at Michael's house for the team, so it was perfect time. We had the podium, we'd won 2, we were going to Michael's house. It was just like, this couldn't be better this day. This is good.
What did he say to you when you got to the party?
Well, Michael's Mike. He said, "Good job, say, let's keep it going." So yeah, that was that. But we had some fun that night.
Your second year, last year, you hurt your wrist. Thankfully, it turned out to be minor. I know you had a bit of surgery, but it wasn't anything that kept you out of the car.
Yep.
That can be something that derails a lot of people.
Yeah.
When that happened, what was going through your mind?
It was just that was like a whole spiral effect. I mean, it happened in Detroit. Didn't know it was broken. Went to Road America. Agony that weekend. Still didn't know it was broken. Had a tough weekend. Then we went to Laguna for a doubleheader, which is one of the most physical tracks on the schedule. And yeah, every time we went to new tires, I was just like, man, I can't drive this car. I physically don't have the strength, which came out of nowhere. And I just knew, okay, there's something deep down not right here. So flew back, I think. Yeah, I got the red eye back after Laguna race, and was told it was broken that Tuesday. But then you're in the middle of a season, you're 8 or 9 days away from your next race. Got surgery right away. But for me mentally, it was just like, we are where we are. I told the surgeon before the operation, like, I cannot wake up in a cast. Like, I was general anesthetic, it was screws, and you're knocked out and all that stuff. He says, "Well, I gotta put you in a cast." I said, "No, you don't understand. I cannot be in a cast. I got a race in 10 days time." So they signed some things, and we went to Mid-Ohio then 8 days later. It's obviously still broken with a screw, and I got through it. But it was just one of those, you had no option. You just gotta keep going, as I always say. That's kind of always been, that's my personality in every walk of life, is like, this won't stop us, and just we got to keep going. And I mean, if it falls off, it falls off. We just kept going. So then we went to Iowa, and we did, the pole and the lap record there and different things, and that kind of, re-sparked the energy of, okay, we can do this. But nonetheless, it was a very tough end because it never healed. I had to have surgery post-season again on it. So challenging, but you really learn a lot about yourself and how far you can push and how high your pain tolerance can be when you need it to be.
And you're now in your third year, as we said before. How would you frame what year one was meant to be and is, what versus year two versus year three for you as you think about your career trajectory?
Yeah, year one was all learning, all like, we got to just figure this out, it was ground zero. And then last year two was, to go run up front and let's get after a championship here, which I think looking back on it, we finished sixth in the points with basically 4 DNFs, 2 of which I caused myself, 2 we were unfortunate with some mechanical things that happened. So, if we just simply finished where we were running when those incidents happened, we would have been top 3 in the championship. And, we'd pole, lap record, 2 or 3 podiums, and that was decent. But you always want more. So, it's just one of those things where we're never satisfied until you're just flat out dominating. So that's what we hope to do this year, is just go on a run and get podiums and hopefully more poles, and come next August be fighting for a championship.
And I guess there's 14 races within the season. We're at the first one, or about to have the first one. So what does this one need to feel like for you? What do you need to get out of, both from yourself, whether the confidence in the car, and also from the team and how you work with them?
Yeah, I mean, we know what we need to do. We know we have a quick street course package. We know we've quick cars around here. For us, truly, it's about finishing this race. We've never finished Grand Prix of St. Pete the last 2 years for some unfortunate circumstances that for now it's like, you come out of here the past 2 years with no points, you're climbing the rest of the year to try and get back. So for us this weekend, it's, big points weekend, finish, and fingers crossed we can achieve that, and then we're already off to a much better start than the past 2 years.
It's time to go in 2025 from St. Pete, and we've got contact and at least 2-3 impacted further in the pack. James Roe is one of them.
James said his St. Pete races have been marred by unfortunate circumstances, and this year was no exception. After starting P14, a collision before the first turn on the opening lap sent him into the pits for repairs, and a subsequent crash put him out of contention entirely. I caught up with James virtually after the session to continue our interview. You were so focused on getting through St. Pete, and unfortunately just wasn't in the cards. Talk us through what was going through your mind that day.
Unfortunately, had a very tough weekend. You wait all off season for St. Pete. It's like, it's the only thing that's in your mind. And then that happens. You're like, damn, okay, here we go again. But I'm really no worse off. I've never finished St. Pete. So
Exactly.
It's nothing new here. Contact at the start at lap 1. And then again, we were 3 laps down after that with right side damage. And then again, the race was over before it started, truly, regardless of what happened after. It's going 3 laps down in a 55-minute race because of turn 1. Just, your day's done. You're just like, there's no getting these laps back. This in IMSA, for instance, you can get laps back. Every time there's a safety car, you get the pass around. But in IndyCar, Indy NXT, it's the cards you're dealt. So, yeah, just frustration and... not really a whole lot to say, and we were annoyed, and we moved forward.
And you said after your first podium with the team that Michael Andretti told you, good job today, let's keep going. I know you share that similar mindset, always improving, always finding opportunities. With that and the start of the season that you've had, what do you need to be doing to get it to where you want everything to be?
Just perform. Just go out and be strong at tracks we know we can be strong at and have been strong at, and execute. Simple as that. And of course, finish races, because, to finish first you have to finish. So that's really it. We'd podium last year in Barber and have been off the front 2 rows in Indy in 3 races now. So we know we have a strong package. Just go and execute, and then chat to you after those races.
Given this has all happened before, what are you going to be doing differently this time around?
You learn from every race. You learn from every moment, everything. Good races, bad races, pole laps. There's always, in this game, there's never like you don't learn. As I said a day like that, or when we were on pole in Iowa last year with the lap record, we even said, oh damn, we left time there. Like, you're always, that's maybe not answering your question, but we just learn from every circumstance and every scenario, good or bad.
Does having this 2-month break help or hurt you? I know you were out driving at Sebring. Does it also mean more time in the sims, in the gym?
Yeah, in some ways I would have loved if we were just racing the next day, after St. Pete. But no, it's a good time to analyze. Obviously, I'm very busy with the IMSA stuff, and with 2 days testing at Indy NXT coming up, and then trips to Europe and different things for partners. So it never really stops for me. It's not like I'm sitting around on the couch here for 2 months thinking about everything. It's just looking forward to the next time out.
You mentioned when you joined Andretti, it came with perks. There was prestige, experience. It also means having teammates you can learn from. Colton Herta,
Yeah.
Kyle Kirkwood. In this moment, as you think about the rest of the season, what is the Andretti playbook saying, and how are you applying it?
When you say, playbook, my crew, as I said, the crew, engineer, team manager, crew chief, these are all guys that have worked with all those names you just mentioned, when they were coming up. So they know what it feels like, what they see, what you can do better. Andretti's so experienced in that sense of just number of drivers through the doors of the Indy NXT program over the years, that they've worked with Kyle, they've worked with Colton, they've worked with Pato, they've worked with Askew. They pick things up off everyone, and they can apply certain things, and that's obviously a huge benefit. So it's what we're used to. It's just another event you learn from, and scenario you have, and you've races coming up, so you're always just going down the same path in alignment.
So if I'm hearing it correctly, it's really St. Pete happened, we learned from it, we applied those learnings, and now it's a blip on the radar.
Yeah, it's not even, like, as I said, it's forgotten about weeks ago.
You're a trailblazer for Irish drivers, a role model for young drivers, and I'd argue that your mindset of always pressing on makes you an inspiration for any of the people watching, no matter their walk of life. 2 things. How have you found success in working your way through difficult situations? And what is your advice to the people listening to do it for themselves?
I think it really comes down to always learning, and every day is a school day, whether it's in the car, out of the car, business, driving, whatever. It's when you have that mentality of always learning, good or bad, that you apply that to whatever. And, when you learn, then you want more, and you reapply what you learned, and it just keeps evolving. And that's what really keeps you in the game. I guess the biggest thing is just that constant pursuit for more, whether it's be in the car driving or out of the car with partners or teams or relationships or whatever.
To play off that, if every day is a school day and an opportunity to learn, then what are you most excited about for the school year ahead?
I think it's that busy part of the season, which is awesome. When you get going, like, Barber, Indy, and then, okay, you have 2 weeks off while the 500 is going on, but then you start going Detroit, St. Louis, Road America, Laguna. That busy part of the year is what it's all about and what we live for. And just being in the groove and going from track to track in the height of a season, there's just nothing like it.
Sink or swim, no choice, never satisfied, always in school. However you spin it, that hunger to jump into the deep end, learn, and move forward regardless of the outcome was immediately apparent in every one of our conversations with James. As I said earlier in the episode, it's a mindset he shares with many of the experienced drivers we've interviewed. They've all found success in their careers, so we're eager to see where it continues to take James and the Andretti team this season and beyond. Thank you again for the time. We know we'll see you at the track very soon. In the meantime, good luck with all the races.
Absolutely. We'll see you at some races.
Hi, thanks so much for watching. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on any of our future Insider episodes. We have tons of exciting guests lined up. Let us know who you'd like us to chat with in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. Thanks, and we'll see you in the next one.